A very good morning, everyone. Today is the 16th of January 2026, a brand new year, and this is edX 2026. So hope everyone is having a great morning, walking around, talking to the corporates, and we're about to kick things off in the panel discussion segment. So if you're wondering where this is happening and you're walking around the BMICH premises, you can walk towards the D Hall, which is right in front of the Sirimau Bandaranaike Memorial Exhibition Center. You can come this way and witness these wonderful and informative panel discussions this morning, and it will go on until this evening as well. So, a good morning to you once again. We're about to kickstart the first panel discussion. Now, if you're a movie fan, if you're a fan of cinema, this panel discussion might be for you. So if you're wondering, if you go to a movie, say you go to the theater and you wonder how much of effort, how much of work has gone into a certain creation. Take Star Wars, for example. If you are a fan of Star Wars, then certainly you would like to know how it works, what the intricacies are of a certain film, movie, or another creation. Perhaps it can be even a documentary. So this morning we have a great collection of panelists here, gathered here at edX. So I'm about to introduce them on stage. So initially, we planned for 3 individuals, but for today, we have 2 who will be representing the Mogo Media Academy. So first up, let me invite Viru Sohal. He is an animation lecturer at the Mogo Media Academy. So he will be talking a lot about how animation in general is done, concept art, animation, and VFX. Can we have Viru Sohal on stage? And also we have with us Kanishka Mututantri. Can we have Kanishka on stage? He's a concept art lecturer at the Mogo Media Academy. And a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So we also planned to have another great individual this morning, who is B. Nagarjuna Chowdhury. He is an internationally recognized VFX professional who has worked in multiple films. Let me name a few. I'm pretty sure you have watched the film Fantastic Beasts. That's the crimes of Grindelwald, and also Mission Impossible Fallout, Avengers Infinity War, and so on and so forth. But I can keep on naming the films, and these gentlemen will be representing Nagarjuna and also explaining how movies work, how animated movies work, to be specific. So if you are interested in animated movies, VFX, concept art, and animation in general, this is the panel discussion for you. So make your way to D Hall at the BMICH to gain a lot of insight. So a very good morning to both of you, Viru and Kanishka. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So lovely having both of you on stage. So I didn't go into detail about your portfolio because I believe the best person to explain about what one has done in their lifetime and achieved in their lifetime is themselves. So, Viru, can we start things off with you? Could you explain about what you do, why you do it, and what your portfolio looks like?
Okay. Basically, I am presently working at Mogo Academy as an animation director as well as an lecturer for animation. Previously, I had worked as an animator, I had worked as a team lead, I had worked as a supervisor, and I had worked as an animation director. I have worked on multiple projects. I have worked on movies like Tinkerbell. I've worked on Alpha and Omega. I've worked on, Bear Grylls, Piece by Piece, Lego, Star Wars, Clone Wars Rebel, and many more. So I have around about 20 plus years of experience in the field of animation. So yeah, I think I've been eating, breathing animation my whole life. Yes.
Fantastic portfolio, I'd say. So we'll get into all the intricacies when we move on with the panel discussion. I'd like to hear your voice as well, Kanishka, this morning. What your portfolio looks like, what you specialize in.
Hey, Sonal. So for me, my background is illustration and animation. So it's same as Viru, I do 3D. But I'm also involved in a lot of 2D related work as well as illustration. So comics to even storyboarding for films like currently I'm working with the guys who did Gajaman, Studio 101. Aside from that, my background mostly is I grew up here, then I moved to the States. I studied under a lot of guys from Pixar and Disney. And from there, I worked in commercials. I worked in commercials like Coca-Cola and Lenovo. And then I moved back here for a bit, and I worked in commercials like Necto. And then I've been traveling back and forth between here, the States, and India. So that's pretty much my background.
Well, sounds absolutely amazing. But Kanishka, do me a favor, will you? Now, sure. Nagarjuna Chowdhury was a person who was supposed to be here today, this morning, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. Yes. But could you actually give a little bit of a background as to what he has achieved in his career as a VFX lecturer?
I could say in sense of, well, his role is basically putting everything together. So if you talk about pre-production, production, and post-production, my role comes under pre-production. I work with the directors and the writers, and I get what they have in their head onto paper, visually first, before we go to the expensive side of animation and VFX. So after my part is done, then we go to Viru, where Viru does animation. He gets the materials I've done, and they create it. And Viru, do you want to explain a little bit on that before I go in? Yeah.
So I go into animation, as I said, like whatever. So things, what I get is basically is just like still figures, which is mostly model, and they have joints in them, which is called rigging. So the rigs are there. What we have is joints in our body, like the bone structure, and that is what we have it. And then we kind of give life to the whole animation. We do the animation and we give life to the character. And once that is done, then it goes into post-production. And the post-production is where, say, for example, you want to go a little bit, you want to give a little bit of fire over there, or you want to show some bonfire, you want to show some vehicle accidents, and some kind of a VFX. That's where Nagarjuna comes.
You have seen green screen and blue screen work people work on. That's all VFX. So, for example, a movie like Jurassic Park, Nagarjuna's role would be to combine the dinosaurs and the humans together in one scene. So
that sounds cool, plus quite complex, right? So let me start things off. So if you're walking around thinking, I want to get into the film industry, I want to get into the VFX concept art industry, or animation industry in general, this is a panel discussion that you should come and listen to, because we believe that you will certainly get practical advice. So Kanishka and Viru, you guys explained the very basic, the high-level picture, right? So I'd like to prompt my question, first question, to Kanishka. Now, creative pipeline. Now, if you take animation in general, take films like Star Wars, you have an animation pipeline,
yes,
right? So it's not just one job being done and put in the tick off. There's a whole bunch of things. So let's start at the first step, which is concept art.
Yes.
Now, you specialize in that specific industry.
Yes.
Concept art, draw boards, as such. So what exactly is concept art, and why does it matter that you do it correctly in production?
Okay. So basically, concept art is the base. if you're making a house, your base has to be strong before we jump into making the actual house. Same thing with concept art. We are focusing on, how do you say it, what the director has in his head. But you need the artist to visualize what is in the director's head, what is the writer putting up on paper. It transfers to the concept artist where he draws it like a comic book to visualize the whole story so that we can pitch that to the people with money, and also we can pitch that to the team so that the team knows, okay, this is what the universe is going to look like. So at the end of the day, you are building that universe. You are building the universe of Star Wars, you're building the universe of Jurassic World, depending on the movie that the director has envisioned in his head.
So that's concept art.
That's concept art.
In a nutshell.
Under pre-production.
Yes, in pre-production. So this is basically before you go into production, before you make the movie, right?
Yes, the non-expensive side of it.
Exactly, non-expensive side of it.
Yeah.
So Viru, now the concepts are now done. Now Kanishka's job is done. How would you take the approach to animation side of it?
Okay. So once that is done, so we have a character design which has been done by Kanishka. It comes over to me, where is the modeling department. They will take that character, develop the model. Now the model is developed. It is known as, like, you have all the mesh of the character.
Think of it as working with clay.
Yeah, so you work in, this is a completely different department, which is called as modeling department, where they create the whole model of a character, like what is being given by Kanishka or the pre-production department. Once that is done, after that, it goes into the rigging department. So what is rigging? Rigging is the joint that we have the joint that we have in our body. The same way, they will put all the joints in every right places so that the animators can work on it. Once that is done, it goes into a department which is called as layout department. So what does layout department do? They fix the cameras, they fix the staging. Say, for example, you have this thing going on and the camera is over there. So they will, like, place every character with the sofa, with the mic, with the characters, with all the props on the table. They will create this environment and give it to the animators. Now, once it goes to the animators, it is his duty, like, to put life into it. So they will just make it, like, breathe, and every movement, every expression, every eye blink, every muscle that moves is done frame by frame. So that's what the job of an animator is.
Viru, now, with the vast experience that you have, both of you, I'd love if you use a practical example from the great portfolio that we have. Say Star Wars, for example. I'd love to hear that. They'd love to hear that. So if you can use a practical example and explain that concept.
Sure. So, for example, Star Wars, to create the world, first the director will give me the script. And so they work with the writers first. They make the script, and then they hand it to me. And me and my department, so that's about maybe 20 people working together. So one set of people will work on the visuals, on what the environments look like, what the colors would look like, what the people, the costumes, all that would look like at the end of the day. And then from there, there's also the storyboard artist, which is what I mostly do, which I draw it out like a comic book. So we know what the story looks like from the script. So, and there's also character designing. So character designing and background designing, that's the part that connects with universe building at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I forgot, the most important part when you start with the animation is the voiceovers. So the voiceovers are given by best of actors, because that's where it all begins. So if we do not have the right voiceovers, because many a times when the voiceovers have been given, it is recorded with cameras as well. So when they act, when they say the dialogue, how the facial, the moves, like each and every muscle, how the body moves in a way that we try to capture it in our animation as well. So say, for example, in Star Wars, you have Anakin, and the voiceover has been given. So we listen to the voiceovers, we listen to the high pitch, low pitch, we see where his ups and downs are there, and according to, we call it accent up and down. And according to that, we kind of give the rhythm to the body. and given an acting, every step that he takes is being very carefully calculated with the voiceovers that has been given, and then we just animate it with that. So it's very important, and that is the reason when a director is choosing the artist, he has to understand, because when you do in a movie, in a normal live action movie, the dialogues will be very different. But when you see an animation, you always have a high pitch and a low pitch, and that kind of helps the animator to animate in that way. And you need those to animate. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
So you're saying before you animate, you get the voiceovers. Am I correct?
Yes, it's a must. It's a must.
So I think that's I think this sort of information is not publicly available as well. So it's actually great that you share all of these on this stage today as well. Now, we talked about concept art, then we came to animation. Now we go to VFX, commonly known as visual effects. Now that's Nagarjuna's job. He's not here today, so you're going to have to fill in for him.
Yes.
Kanishka, could you explain what VFX is?
Yes, so like I said, VFX is basically you take, let's say, you want to create a combination, like I said, since I've drawn something out for the background, sometimes you might not find it in the right location. Then you have to create it in CG. So the VFX artists will come in and help with the modelers, with the texture artists in the production area to build that environment, to build the lights to that environment. So like the VFX guy would get everything what's done in production, and he'll put it all together. Let's say they found a location for a building, but the building doesn't exist. So the VFX guy has to hire the modelers in and the texture artists to build that building, and then he places it using green screen and blue screen. And then let's say you have to blow it up. That again is the VFX artist's job. You have to blow it up. If there's a monster who comes in and destroys it, Viru has to create the monster coming into the scene, but then Nagarjuna will have to do the destruction part of it, the destruction of the building. Yeah.
Yep. So all the destruction, you'll see the building falling down and the plane crashing. There's a tsunami that came in. So everything is done by Nagarjuna. He's the man for that.
So in terms, I'm not trying to pit everyone against each other, but what would you call the most complex or requiring the most amount of effort in the whole process? What stage?
In which field? In which field?
Okay.
Like you're talking about concept art, animation, VFX.
Yes.
Both of all the three,
All
which
three.
is the most complex. They
Yes.
all are complex in a way. They all are complex.
That's true.
It's a lot of hard work. You need to understand if it comes to pre-production, they have to be very careful about every detail of giving the character those features, which I cannot make. Like say for example, if I want to do, name a movie
I can add in.
like.
So like for example, storyboarding. When we look at storyboarding, only let's say in a movie like what Disney would do, that's what, let's say 20 people. From that 20 people, each one will do about 100% of storyboards, and from the 100%, only 20% will go into the film. Like they will choose what goes into the film. So you are working with the director, and they'll say, I like this, but I don't like this. So I need to change this. Then we have to go back and change it up again. Or sometimes your work will be handed into somebody else, and then they have to revise it. Same thing with animation. Sometimes that will happen.
Yeah, so say for example, if you have How to Train Your Dragon, right? So it's not just one design that they make hundreds of designs just for one character. And out of that, one has been chosen to do the animation. And you have to be very mindful when you're creating a character as well, because in that you have to make sure that it should be animatable. It should not be very difficult for the animator or make their life miserable. The design has to be very calculated because
Yes.
it makes a huge difference if the design is not good, if the characters are not done well. The animators have to struggle a lot in doing it. So
That-
there goes a lot of thought process in it and a lot of hard work in doing the pre-production. If the pre-production is right, then the animation comes. And in animation, sometimes you feel that it's the most simplest shot. You know, you'll just do it in a day, but that's not the thing. Every single shot is complex, always. So you cannot say which is the most complex thing over here. Every single thing is complex. Every single thing goes into a lot of. You have to act. You have to act before you do your animation. So you have to make sure that when you are an animator, you are also an actor, but that's behind the screen. So you're not you're over here, it's like you're in front of the camera, the actors are, but in animation, they are like behind the cameras. They are the one who do the acting, put it on the paper, like thumbnailing, which is again we learn that in pre-production, and then we do the animation after that. So a lot of hard work.
Yeah, so, can I add one more thing? So, usually a movie takes about 4 years to do, standard. So, you're looking about a year and a half of storyboarding, concept art, and character designing. You spend about a year and a half working with the script writers, the directors. Then production. Production is most likely another 2 years, 2 years or so. And then again, post-production is another year or so. So it takes time. Avatar, the Blue People movie, not Last Airbender, that took 14 years. I think it's James Cameron's film after Titanic. He takes his time with his films, and he's someone who has created a name for himself that he can take that time, So, but usually standard is about 4 years. So that's very important to keep in mind. That's why there's about 500 to 1,000 people working on these films. And right now in Sri Lanka, they are looking for people to work on films locally. And that's what we're doing through Moga Media Academy at the end of the day. We are actually trying to create this environment for people with the skill who can actually come in and do the work so we can find jobs for them.
I think that's great news, Kanishka. Now, listening to what both of you said, I feel like the entire process, the people who are involved in it, they should have an understanding within one another, because if you do not convey what your idea is through the concept board, the other person, the animator, cannot do his or her job.
Yes.
And you go to the VFX scene, it's the same story.
Yes.
So ideally, you should be in the same page before moving on with a certain concept.
Yes, truly, because Peter Desev, who created the saber-tooth tiger in Ice Age, he was the editorial artist first. So he had to work with the 3D modelers to create the tiger. First time he drew it, he didn't know what he was doing because he didn't understand how the 3D guys are working. So they had to communicate so that he could design it properly so that the modelers could go back and design it. Yeah.
Lovely. So, fascinating stuff. And this is for the audience members. If you do have questions, we are definitely allowing at the end of the session for Q&A as well. You can meet these experts to talk to them as well. Now, I want to talk about how all of this starts and generally its inspiration, right? And I'd like to believe Hollywood, being the world's one of the most prominent movie producing entities, where do you get the inspiration? How do you come up with a unique idea first?
Yeah.
Because generally what happens is when you come to different countries, you see a fluctuation. You see a lot of copies of movies in this part of the world, right? I'm not trying to be derogatory, but that's the truth.
Yes.
So how do you come up with that one unique idea for a movie?
Right. So that's what happens. So usually one of the areas where people get their ideas are from film. But what happens is people just try and do that same film. So that is not enough to get your ideas from. You need to brainstorm. You need to study from real life. And then you also need to brainstorm and put your ideas on paper. And that's my thoughts of it.
Yeah, so basically So you get inspired. You definitely get inspired by looking at Avatar or other movies as well, and you want to make something like that. So first thing is you need to take the subject. What is the subject that you want to work on? Once you take that subject, you develop it. You develop it something by getting inspired by some of the movies, some of the characters, but not necessarily it has to be a copied version. It can be your own unique version. But first you need that subject, what exactly you want to take. Without that subject, you won't be able to. So until unless you don't have it, like you will not be able to. So copying is not something, necessary or a solution for everything. It's like there's again a lot of thought process starts from pre-production itself, where you've been taught how to think unique ways, how to think about a concept, how to develop a concept, how to make those. First, we start with making short films. So that's how we develop it. So making short films, a lot of thought process goes in it. We ask them again and again to, like at Mogo Media again, if I talk about it, so we start from day one, we ask them to, come up with a story. And that story is being polished all the way till the end to make a short film, which is a unique short film, and it's their own. It is not copied. It's different. Yeah.
Lovely. Now, that's inspiration for you. Now, when you talk about film industry in general, around the world there are multiple talented individuals. Like some might say inborn talents, some might say they developed it, sharpened their skills while they were in the industry, the exposure that they got. How do you define it? Do you need natural born talent to thrive in this industry?
In my opinion, I thought I knew a lot of things before I went to the States about drawing in general. But then I went to college, to university, and I realized I knew nothing. There's so many people out there who know much more than I do. And it's not about talent. There's a lot of people I know who talent only takes you 30% of the way. Let's say you can draw. You can only go about 30% of the way with talent. But the rest of the way, it's all skill. You have to put the time in. You have to put the practice in. It's repetition, continuously practicing over and over and over again. It's like going to the gym at the end of the day. You love going to the gym. Everybody wants to go to the gym, right? But at the end of the day, it's the days that you don't want to go to the gym are the days that make you better. So that's very important to keep in mind if you're coming into this industry.
So I don't know if you guys have seen Ratatouille. Have you guys seen Ratatouille? The animated movie, yeah? So what does it say? Anybody can cook, right? The same way everybody can animate. If you get the right guidance, then yes, we can animate. And there is a lot of hard work. You need to give that hard work. If you give that hard work, you put in that hard work, you can animate. That's what I feel like. Anybody can do it. It's the hard work and proper dedication, or the right kind of, guidance. And yes, they can do it.
Very interesting answer, because there are differing opinions everywhere, but we'd like to hear that coming from the industry professionals themselves. So you don't need to be talented and so now we live in the digital age, right? We live in the digital age. Information is available everywhere, but do you think one person can go through say in the digital space or the internet and learn for themselves these skills, the tools, and whatever habits you need to inculcate within yourself for the success of this industry?
In terms of like going through and learning through social media and
yes.
things like that?
Can you learn through internet, maybe courses? Is that viable in this time of age, like
yes.
availability wise?
Yes, like you can learn the stuff, like, but you also need an instructor or a mentor along with you. That's one of the things. Like I studied under Animation Mentor, which was they started in 2006. Along with the classes, they used to have an instructor also, and that's what's important. Like at Mogo Media Academy, what we focus on is making sure that you have that feedback. Because it's not just what you learn, it's about getting feedback. You need the feedback to move forward, because without feedback, it's hard to move forward. Like you don't know if your work is good or not, So that's very important. You can learn anything. All this stuff exists. but you need feedback from somebody who has done this before. You need to surround yourself with like people who are better than you, or you won't, it's hard to go forward.
Yeah, I can give you a lot of example being an Indian, but the thing is that they won't understand. But the thing is that yes, you do need a lot of guidance. The guidance is very, very, very important because you can learn through internet, you can learn through, going on YouTube and taking all that classes. But if you are on one-on-one, you have some questions, you immediately ask somebody else, how do I solve this? And we are there. It's like you don't have to again go through the whole process of searching that on the internet. You just have us over there present at a very moment to ask that. And that makes it life easy. I'm not saying that it is not possible. It is possible. But it is a much more lengthier process. And a guidance from someone who is there from this industry always helps. And again, your dedication. You need that. You need it.
I think Viru, I was going to get there. The skills or the specific things you need to grow within yourself to survive in this industry. Like you said, all of the stages, this entire process is quite complex. It's not like doing, say, like a general menial job, like a 9-to-5 job. But it's something much more meaningful. Plus, you need a lot of energy, you need a lot of focus, a lot of creativity. So how did you inculcate it, and how do you suggest everyone else do it as well?
Could you repeat the question
Yes,
again?
the skill sets. How do you, what sort of skills do you need to thrive in the industry? Plus, how did you do it?
So for me, it was just trying to understand what the industry is like. When I graduated from university, the market changed to 3D animation. I went for 2D. I went to study illustration and 2D animation. But when the market changed, I had to go back to school. I had to study all over again. And then from there, I got my first internship. And for me, it's like the love of it, to just keep pushing and keep getting better, because every time I got frustrated with it and left it for a bit, it kept coming back and kept asking me to come back into the industry. So that's how I just kept on going.
So basically, you need to observe. Observe every single thing around you. What is good, what is bad, how people sit, how people walk, how they talk. What is the environment? Is it interior, is it exterior, is it the trees, how they look like, the lights, the body, how it moves. Every single thing, every single movement needs to be observed. And then later on, we try and, we just train them to observe these things on a daily basis. And, we do a lot of acting sessions. And these are the important things that you need to get into this field. And that's what we did. We did a lot of sketches, we did a lot of acting, and we also had a lot of plays, on stage that we used to make kids do. I did it myself. So we did a lot of plays to get the fear out of, coming on the stage and doing the acting, because that's what you're going to do. You're going to act it, but not in front of the camera. You're going to do that acting on this computer. All this is needed. So you have, what you need is basically, as I said, dedication, first of all. You need to be very, you need to observe everything, and you need to do a lot of acting. Plus, you have to learn the software, which is obviously we're going to teach you how to do.
So adding into what Viru said, it's the same thing. So when you're reading a script, and when you're acting, you are no longer thinking about the script. You have to memorize the script, and when you're speaking out, you're just acting. You're not thinking about the script anymore. Same thing for drawing. When you're doing character designing, when you're doing storyboarding, when you're doing background designing, you are not thinking about, okay, how does the hand look like? You're just trying to build a character, a living, existing character. So that's what we try to do in both sides of us at the end of the day.
So according to the answers, dedication obviously is a must, plus a watchful eye helps,
yes,
right? So when you become a person who observes whatever's around you, not not in a way that, say, you go on a trip and observe, but in a watchful way, how the leaves of a tree moves. The small movements which will allow you to think in a different way and apply it for another concept, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So we did talk about the skills. We did talk about the basic definitions of this subject. Now, if anyone is willing to get into the industries of concept art, VFX, and animation, what sort of pathways do they have here in Sri Lanka? So globally, yes, a lot of pathways. If you have money, you can definitely go to the best schools of the best places. But how do you make it while being here in Sri Lanka?
Well, one of my lifelong goals was to go out there, because I left out there in 2000. And I didn't know, because I grew up here and there was nothing at the time. I wanted to learn, and I wanted to bring back what I learned out there to here. That was one of my goals. And I've been doing it for the I've been teaching since 2008. So I've been doing that for a while working. So what I wanted to do was to bring that subject over here and to create jobs here. And actually now, 2026 now? We're at 2026 now, and things are happening. Jobs are happening. Like if you look at Mogo Studios, they have about 70 strong people. In 2010, we've only like 15, 20 people working in a small company.
Now, the word Mogo came in a couple of times, so I'd like, Kanishka, if you explain to the audience what Mogo is, what do they do, what they stand for, and everything.
Sure. Yeah, so Mogo is the company, the main company under their owner. They focus on films. The recent film is coming out very soon. And they also focus on games. And they've also started an academy that is focusing on educating people. And it's not like your everyday degree. We are not focused on degree. A degree is a piece of paper. A piece of paper doesn't tell you that you have a skill. We focus on the skill, and we want to make sure that you are skilled enough that when you graduate, that you have the needs to get that job that's there out there. So that's what our focus is. The skill. Skill is more important than a piece of paper. That's what we focus on.
Yeah, same, I guess. Like we kind of, like I've been called specially for that, so I can just train over here. Coming from the industry and having all this experience for the last 20 plus years. So I think they want to get the best of people from around the world to train them to make Sri Lanka a second hub for animation, concept art, VFX. Because if you'll see, all the best of animation studios are there now in India. You call it Redefine, you can call it Double Negative, you call it ILM, you call all the big industries that is there in US is now in India. And that's what the dream of Mr. Madhav is, that he wants this place to be second India, where you will be getting all the big industry back over here, and this needs to be a second hub for animation. That's his dream. And that's the reason I think he wanted us to start this.
And some projects are actually coming up now that we are going to be recognized, and we are aiming to make sure that there are jobs available by the time people graduate. And that's my goal. That's both our goals at the end of the day. Yeah.
I think that's a phenomenal objective to have, and I hope that we can achieve it. Absolutely.
We can do it.
And we can. Kanishka, so you talked about jobs. What specific jobs are you talking about? Now, what sort of roles are available in the global arena? Plus, when you come to the Asian region or the Southeast Asian, whatever.
Well, obviously there's outsourcing right now that's happening. And we are being reached out by companies outside of Sri Lanka. Currently, we are reached out by companies like in Japan and Philippines. And we also reached out in places like in the West. So it all depends on the companies you want to work in and how you want to tailor your portfolio. You need to be able to tailor your portfolio to a particular company. You can't, let's say, example, Pixar. I can't animate fighting robots and hand it to Pixar. They would not want it. But if it's Transformers, they're hiring for the next Transformers movie. Then I had to make my portfolio to make sure that I get into Transformers. Then robots are fine. And Pixar is looking for something totally different. They're looking for cute animals. So then you have to create that type of work for Pixar. Viru?
Yeah, extremely sorry. Like we use many a times like technical words that has been used in the industry. So portfolio is basically like you need whatever is like you have done in that department. If you're there in concept art, you will be having all your pre-production stuff in that where you will go and showcase to the companies. If it is animation, you will be showcasing all your reels, all the short films and all the animation that you have done. And then you will have again the same that goes for the VFX. So we help you in making your portfolio as well over here. And that you can just go and pitch to the studios here, abroad, all the places where you want to. And that's where like, you can get calls and then you go and apply for it.
Viru, now, talking from experience, how does the IP rights side of it work? Because say you pitch your brilliant idea to a big company, what makes you and them a separate entity, plus how do you protect your own art? Because I feel like if you pitch your idea, they can just whip out a team because they have money. Why can't they do it themselves? How do you, like, what's now, you said you go and pitch, you characterize your portfolio according to what Pixar wants, and you pitch that to Pixar. You don't pitch robots to Pixar. So how do you safeguard your work in this industry?
Copyright it. You copyright it. Yeah, that's simple. Like, because if you have something, your own creativity, or put in all your hard work, put in over there, and that's kind of a most unique thing, and you're pitching somebody, you already have a copyright for it. You do the copyright so that nobody can take it because it's all legal. Yeah.
So for me, it's like I don't show stories that are dear to me unless I can make it by myself. Stories that I can learn to let go, and it's not going to be, you're trying to find work, right? So you want to find work. At the very beginning, you're a bigger and you can't be a chooser. So you have to go in there and talk to people and show your work to people, and that's going to happen. So that work, you have to be able to learn to let go because that becomes public anyways. So you have to be okay with showing the work and not worry about being precious about it at the end of the day.
I think this conversation has been quite exciting in terms of film, plus the career opportunities that it creates around it. Now, you have something to say? Before moving on, so we have come to the latter part of the conversation, but before your last message to the audience here today, we would like to take questions from the audience. Now, when I say questions from the audience, it doesn't necessarily have to be about introduction to animation, VFX, and the other stuff. So it doesn't necessarily has to be about the technical stuff. You can make it about the movies because these guys, we have a power-packed panel. So if you guys have genuine questions about how to make it in the industry, how to show yourself perhaps in social media, how to brand yourself as a person who does this professionally, how to give out your portfolio. If you have those sorts of questions, now would be the time for you to ask. The floor is open. Do we have any questions?
Yes, any question from audience? Do you want to ask a question? Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I've heard about your, stand up. I've heard about your company and your achievements lately. And I was wondering, like, since the development of AI and everything, as an artist myself, I kind of get scared, like, others will do better art through AI. So how would this, like, be, if I take this animation as a career, how would, like, AI be in the way of?
We were expecting this at some point.
Yeah. So basically, AI can, right. Okay, so AI, first of all, if you know about like most of the biggest studio in the world, they have completely said no to AI. They're not going to do work any single bit about AI in their studios. So that's not going to happen, first of all. It's like if you talk about DreamWorks, you talk about Disney, you talk about all the big studios, they had said no, we're not going to use AI. So that is gone, first of all. And secondly, AI, maybe they can just do a little bit of an animation for you, a little bit of an animation, but they cannot create a story. They cannot tell us. The storytelling will be yours. That is yours. And AI, when you get whatever the animation that you get through AI, you can easily say it's all one and the same. You see everything is very similar. You don't see any creativity in it. So your creativity is what AI cannot do. So we are the creators. That's where, like you yourself being an artist, what do you think? Like, do the AI do any justice to create whatever you have been seeing on?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
It's all an artwork from what I can see.
Exactly.
And it can't emulate like actual creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just wondering, since like small indie animation studios now start up with a lot of AI, and even when it's kind of demotivating for a lot of artists because.
Oh, don't let it demotivate it. Like I said, so what will happen is a few things will happen. AI will do their own thing. Us as artists will do our own thing. Some people do something in between, but all three streams will exist. Keep in mind like this, when photography came, portrait painting never stopped. There are still people who are doing portrait painting. When 3D animation came around, 2D stopped for a little bit, but it came back up again. Yeah? When motion capture came along, 3D keyframe animation, also again, there was a competition between both of them, but now they're doing a combo of it. So don't worry about that. Do what you do and do what you love. That's not going to change.
So the way forward would be like creative stories and like wonderful character designs. Is that how we'll stand out?
Character design and everything is yours, right? Like the creativity, of course, as I said, AI won't be able to create that. They will give you just the same image, a little bit of a difference here and there. They won't be able to create something extraordinary for you. And if that's what has been done, then I don't know how much, like hundreds and thousands of retakes they might take to do that. But then, like, what comes from our head as a creative person is going to be way different from what AI can, because AI is not just a machine. They cannot think like us. And I have seen it, like most of the work, whatever I have seen, is something that is not that creative, and I don't want to watch it. Like the moment I start, it starts getting boring. And if that's the case, if it is the moment you open it and you feel it's boring, it's not creativity.
I think someone somewhere might have explained to you and got it in your mind that AI is the next level of things that's happening right now.
I've been seeing it around a lot, so I was.
Yeah, I know we hear
all
a lot,
do.
but it's.
We all do. But basically, if I'll tell you again, we all are like kind of boycotting it. Nobody's using that AI because we still want the creatives, the creativity in every individual, the creative people like us. Because if we start using AI, then where the creative people will go?
Creativity will die.
Yeah. So as he said, when you started using motion capture, animation was still there, right? Even though when 2D was like, from 2D we migrated to 3D, now 3D animation is still there. People still do 2D animation. The same thing, they're going to come up with more 2D animation, right? And this is never going to stop. So the creative part will always be there.
That's reassuring. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone?
As you need to ask questions, you need to make sure like you have questions, you know.
Now, I'd like to add on to that question about AI, right? So we very recently saw a very popular company using AI. So this relates to you, Kanishka, because you have worked in the commercial space. Used AI for their Christmas jingle and the New Year jingle. I didn't say that. So we saw a lot of backlash coming, sincerely, because people didn't feel like it was heartfelt, right? I feel like Coca-Cola in its spirit. I don't know about Yeah, I don't know about the beverage, but Coca-Cola makes you feel something like belonging or something like that. But my point is, what do you have to say for that? So you said studios do not accept AI these days. They have prohibited, I suppose. But there are AI's users. We're not going to get into that today. But how would you approach that? Coca-Cola using AI in 2025, 2026-ish.
Well, like I said, like some companies will use it, some companies won't. So it depends on how the company structure is going to be. Not that they can use it on everything. They can never use it on everything. There are certain things, for example, if I ask a particular artist's way of working combined with another artist's way of working, they can't give me something good. I've seen that hands down, that AI cannot do everything. That's why I said there is going to be a combo. There might be a combo. There's a company called Staircase Studios right now. They're doing a combo. They have a couple of guys from Pixar, and a couple of guys who are building their own AI within the company without stealing from artists. And that's the problem that's going on right now. People are stealing from artists, and they're building their own AI, which is the biggest problem. But that's not, that don't have to worry about that. There will be jobs for artists at the end of the day. Yeah.
What do you think about that ad?
About what?
What do you think about that ad? Do you think it's creative?
Well, no, would be my answer, because I saw the ad, right? Because you can see Santa Claus being quite weird, not the usual behavioral sense, I would say. I'm not gonna get into the depths of it, but in general, if you overlook it, it's not for me.
That's what, like, you will not find it that creative. You won't find this, getting those goosebumps when you see some of the ads, like, or some of the creativity actually done by the creative people. That's not going to happen. So I don't think AI is really there.
I feel like they just jumped on the bandwagon and tried to do something, but we are not there yet in terms of AI, right?
And
I feel like that was the case.
There is no consistency. When you go from one shot to the next shot, it looks different. So there is no consistency whatsoever in AI. We can create consistency because we know the styles, we know what is expected. If there's a certain tick that the character we create has, we need to make sure that tick goes through across the board. AI cannot do that. Yeah.
And mind you, to add, AI is based on previous trained data, so that
exactly.
means
it's a
already
recycle.
existing.
They recycle.
Exactly.
No originality. Yeah.
So great insights coming. අපි සිංහල භාෂාවෙනුත් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න පුළුවන්. කාට හරි ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් අහන්න ඕන කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. එහෙම කැමැත්තක් තියනවා නම් අහන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතකොට මට ඕන පුළුවන් විරුට translate කරලා දෙන්න.
මම translate කරනවා. විරුට මම translate කරන්න පුළුවන්. සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න ඕන සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Do we have any more questions?
If there are any concerns, you can even talk to us separately as well. So
yes,
that's fine.
after the discussion. I hope not, from the faces I can see, but certainly we guess that this discussion inspired something in you, a small little flame inside you, to maybe even go how movies are made. So some of you are sitting here just to understand what's happening, what are they talking about. So maybe you can go home, you can search something up, you can perhaps check out Mogo Media Academy, who provides training for these sorts of, I believe it's the premier institute here in Sri Lanka. You can talk about that as well.
Yes, for Mogo Media Academy. Yes, so Mogo Media Academy, we are focused under Mogo, we're under Mogo, and we are focusing, like I said, we are focused mostly on the skill. You get a diploma after you're done, but it's not about the diploma. We want to make sure that you guys have jobs by the time you graduate. And that's what we focus on. We want to make sure that there's a place for you to go to and you can make a living out of this for years to come. Okay?
I think I heard from Kanishka that we have great creations from Sri Lanka coming as well very soon. I'm not going to get into that now because the time is also a limit. But still, Viru, Kanishka, do you have one last thing, one final message for our audience today?
One last remark.
I would just say that, like, work hard, dedicate yourself, You know, don't waste your time watching Instagram reels, you know, watching YouTube and all that stuff. Even if you're watching that, learn something from it. Just don't just see some stupid thing over there. Life is very important and it's very precious. You need to put yourself in and dedicate yourself in what you want to become in your life, and just do that. That's all I would say. Yeah.
For me, like Viru said, time is very important, and like you guys obviously have more time than we do. We've been doing this for a while, so we are coming into the center of what we've been doing. But then for you guys, if this is something that you want to do and you want to follow this as a career, definitely. I've known people even after their 50s had started animation, and they've signed up and they've gone to work at companies like Disney. I know people in their 40s who've started later on in their life and started working on cartoons like Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny, you know. So there are people out there. You can start it at any age. If you have the love for drawing, if you have the love for animation, anything's possible.
I think we barely scratched the surface today, Viru, Kanishka.
We could talk about this stuff for days.
For days, exactly. I mean, you have been living in for years,
Yeah,
so why not for days? So, I mean, I personally was inspired, but I'm not sure I'd get into animation to be specific, because I'm more of a... because I feel like that's where these conversations become interesting. You understand if this path is for you, right? If you're a person who wants to sit in front of a computer and make that magic happen, yes, this path is for you.
Yeah.
But you have to understand when it is for you and when it is not for you as well. You need to
Yes.
have a clear line as well, because
Right.
people blindly get into the fame of it sometimes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think, like you said, we can talk for days, but since the time limit has already passed, I hope both of you enjoyed the conversation today
truly.
as well.
Yes, very much.
Thank you so much,
And
Sonal.
I hope everyone else enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much, Kanishka, for joining. Thank you very much, Viru,
Thank you.
for coming today, representing the Mogo Media Academy. And I should give a shout out to the Royal College All Boys Union and the entire edX team for joining and making all of us a part of this amazing, amazing career fair and edX Expo. So have yourselves a pleasant day ahead. We do have more panel discussions coming up. Stay tuned for that as well. Until then, have a very good day.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.